Alright, so right now we're doing The Last of Us. Wait, what do you think of The Last of Us?
Okay, first of all, in The Last of Us, like, when you're going through the video game itself, like, you get so connected with the characters, it's, like, not even funny. Like, you're going through, like, I guess, let's go with when, well, what do you think is, like, the best part so far?
So, anytime that you see Ellie and Joel together, your heart melts. It really does melt.
I feel like if Sarah was still alive...
Wait, remind me who Sarah is again?
Sarah is Joel's dead daughter. RIP.
Shoot, we need to do these fresh next time.
You don't remember?
No, like, I remember, it's just like, wait a minute, because there's, like, other stuff I'm watching, that's why.
Oh, well, stop doing that.
I tried, it was a month! That was a month ago!
Not even.
But, you, go ahead, continue your thought.
Okay, so basically, I feel like if Sarah was still to be alive, I feel like Ellie and Sarah are, like, very, like, similar to the point where it's kind of scary.
Yeah.
Like, in the beginning of the beginning, when Sarah gave Joel the watch, she was like, I sell hardcore drugs. That was my favorite. But, when Sarah said that, I feel like it's the same sense of humor that Ellie has, you know?
Well, yeah, because they were the exact same age.
Yeah.
So for Joel, it's basically saying, like, I have this second chance.
Mm-hmm.
And you see that through the first game is that he doesn't give up on that second chance. He literally holds on to it, even though what my favorite part about Joel and Ellie's relationship is that they hate each other. It's the classic hate to love scenario, but in, you know, a father-daughter way.
Yeah.
And going into the second game is that you kind of see how far he will go. Up to the point where he literally killed a guy that happened to be Abby's father, and, you know, it's just...
Save Ellie.
Yeah, just to save Ellie, but he... Okay, do you want to go to the second game for a little bit? Because there's something to say about the second game. Did you notice at all during the second game that you feel like you're watching the same game twice, but through someone else's point of view? Like, you have...
Especially when it turned to Abby, it started getting a little bit confusing, but it's, like, understandable.
No, it's uncomfortable, but at the same time, it was just the same game. Like, you have, and I'm not trying to be racist, you have the pregnant woman, you have the cultural person with Jess and... Shoot, what was that Spanish guy?
Oh, Manny?
Yeah, Manny. Like, you have the same guy, and then Ellie and Abby is, like, the same person. And then by the end of the game, you see Abby kind of taking the role of Joel as she's taking care of this kid, you know?
Oh, Lily or something.
No, not Lily.
Yeah, it was Lily, or it was, it started with an L, I believe. The kid from the island.
Yeah, the island. The one where... Lev, that's it. So, like, that, you know, you kind of see it. You kind of see it through.
Yeah.
And at any point, did you feel, like, uncomfortable about the second game? Because I sure did.
I didn't really feel uncomfortable.
Oh, I definitely did.
Felt connected in a way. It's kind of weird.
Want to expand?
Yeah, I kind of felt connected because during this whole time you're going through Ellie's life from 14 to all the way to 18, and in such a short span of time, and with that you kind of grow with the character and you get connected. Same with Joel. If you would look from The Last of Us and then The Last of Us Part 2, you can see the changes of his appearance and age, and like you can see his beard gets more scuffier, his face gets more, I guess, aged, and it's kind of like weird because you get to see him grow.
Right, and then with Ellie, you get to really see her progress. I mean, if you go into the DLC, which I don't know if you had time to do.
You know.
But But you see, at the end of the game, at the end of the first game, you see, she mentions Riley, the girl, and in the comic and in the DLC, they actually explore Ellie and Riley.
Yeah.
You find out that, Riley is gay, that they are best friends and they were planning to go out, together, but Ellie never did. And it even expands on that. You even see that they were both in their version of the military together and Riley ran away.
It was a military school.
Yeah, they both went to military school and then Riley just disappeared. And then she was announced for the Fireflies. So, and what's really cool, I don't know, like, Ellie and Sarah kind of remind me of you a little bit. When you were younger, not, necessarily, but, you see a lot of that, in the first game, you see a lot of that character and that sassiness, and they don't even sexualize the girls in this game, which is amazing.
Yeah, which is good because most games like to genderize everything, especially when it comes to Abby, like the way they made her
buff.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's actually what her actress looks like.
Yeah, which is really good because most games would make most women fragile and protect me, but in The Last of Us Part 1 and Part 2, they definitely break that, and I'm very plus with that,
Well, as I was saying earlier, is that in the first game you see them young, but in the second game you start to relate when you get when we're in teenagehood. You start to see Ellie drifting away from Joel, and it's this obvious teenage angst. It's this obvious point of maturity. We all know that. It really hit hard there after she found out that Joel, lied.
Yeah.
Do you have any say on the side characters?
Let's talk about. Well, would you consider Tommy a main character?
Not like a main, but a supporting character. If you want to do supporting characters, because we really went into Ellie, we really went into Abby.
Well, you want to go into Dina then?
All right, let's go into Dina, my favorite character, because I think she's the one that has the most sense. Yeah, by the way, your girlfriend's off in a killing spree. You want to stop that?
Yeah, Dina is more down low, chill type of person, I would say.
Yeah, she's the one that okay, she's pregnant, but then again, also Mel's pregnant, so you kind of see the comparisons. She's the only one that's able to give Ellie the sense of comfort and the sense that everything's okay. And in that kind of world, after Joel's death, I think that's really needed.
I feel like Dina definitely played a special part when it came to, especially the last few moments of The Last of Us 2, when Ellie went to go fetch the animals back into the farm, and she had that PTSD moment. I feel like Dina was definitely there to support her, and I feel like Dina was very much needed in her life after Joel died.
Especially, a lot of media doesn't show trauma, real trauma, what happens, because, after all these events, it's happily ever after all. Well, it's really not.
Yeah, when The Last of Us Part 2 ended, it's kind of since you're so used to happy endings, it's kind of like a shock when it ended, because you're used to, look at me living a happy life, but
you blame Disney for that.
Dina just left with the little baby and just said bye.
Yeah, but to be fair, Ellie did that to herself. She did all of this to herself. So it begs the question, do you think Joel is a hero? Do you still think he's a hero after all of that?
Throughout everything that happened, and with Ellie and Joel growing together, I feel like Joel definitely plays a father figure for Ellie, since Ellie said that most of the people in her life left. I feel like Joel definitely was a hero in that type of subject, staying there with Ellie, sticking by her side through ups and downs. I feel like that's definitely A+. But when it comes Joel being, I guess, quote unquote, a villain, or being a bad person, was definitely lying. When he lied about everything, not everything, but about Ellie and her infection and stuff like that, it kind of like really harmed Ellie mentally, I feel like.
Definitely.
It really bothered her, and that kind of like broke them a little.
Like a lot, like really a lot. Like all the trust that was built in the first game just went down the drain.
Just traded. And then, but overall, I kind of see Joel as hero more because he stuck by Ellie's side. He killed for Ellie. Ellie killed for him. They stuck. They fought together. They survived together.
But so did Abby and her father, mind you. So do you still agree with that statement, even if it's there?
I mean, you gotta fight for your own life to stay alive, no matter what the circumstances are. But yeah, I still surprisingly consider Joel a hero.
More than, say, Abby's point of view.
Well,
or do you think it's equally valid?
I feel like it's not valid at all when looking at Abby's point of view, especially from looking at Abby's point of view. It's definitely uneven because, say, what did Abby's father and Abby do to affect Joel?
Well, to be fair, it was more Joel killed Surgeon Dad, which was also the only guy that could make a cure for the infected.
Yeah, exactly. But what did Abby and her father do to deserve that?
Well, the fireflies, I guess you can blame, but
I mean, yeah, but like I said, you gotta fight to live. So then again, I see it's so uneven because looking at what Abby and her father did was nothing compared to what Joel and Ellie did.
Right.
You know, because I feel like just what Ellie and Joel did to like kill people, especially when it comes to the family of Abby.
Yeah, I mean, like in the first game, it's more forgiving. Like, you have cannibalists going after you, you have the infected going after you, like, okay, you don't mind. But in the second game, they make you think, like, wait a minute, the people that you're killing, the wolves and the scars, if you want to call that, you know, you really think, like, wait a minute, they have families, they have lives. Which is kind of the unsettling thing.
That's true.
Yeah. So, your favorite scene from 1, and then your favorite scene from 2.
Okay, my favorite scene, well, let's go first. I need a little thinking about this.
Okay, so my favorite I think the first one is when they're in the car, they got away, and Ellie's looking at that magazine, and it's like, hello, this is what you have to deal with every day.
It's like, why are the pages? That was my favorite line she said.
And it was like, okay, goodbye, you know, and then also the comic thing. And then in the second game, when Joel sang the song in the beginning, and then Ellie did a small reprise of it later on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then my second favorite little moment is very, very small, is when Abby is just giving some love to Abby because we're hating on her a lot, is when she has to climb that bridge. And she said, you think I'm climbing that thing? Like, I'm scared of heights. And it's like, and then she gets to the second bridge as if saying, yay, I'm a champion. And it's like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. And I'm like, you know what? This is hilarious.
It goes even higher. Yeah, that's really...
Yeah, do you have yours?
Okay, so, yeah, the second one is definitely a connecting scene with Joel and Ellie when they went in, when they did the flashback in part 2, to when Joel surprised her for her birthday to go to the museum.
Oh yeah, I was about to say that.
That made me cry. Oh
my god, and then when they're in the spaceship together, Ellie was finally able to become a kid. I mean,
just connecting. Another one is the humorous scene from The Last of Us, part 2, is when they're in the museum and that big ass pig just busts out of nowhere.
Pig? I don't remember a pig.
You don't remember that?
No, I don't remember a pig. What version were you watching?
The big boar pig came out, and she's like, "What's that sound?" And a big pig just busted through. You don't remember that?
No.
Hold on. Wait, I'm gonna look it up real quick.
We found Chewie, everyone. We found Chewie. So, do you have any more highlights to say?
I guess.
Or do you have like a very, what was your experience? What did you get out of this emotionally? Like a conclusion. What's your conclusion to all this?
In conclusion, I kind of like realized that not every story has a happy ending. And Disney, you have to upgrade your endings.
They do actually have some sad endings, like.
I definitely see that. Naughty Dog. They definitely did us dirty at the end. They really set the expectations high that when Ellie came home, Gina and the baby would still be there, but no.
No, because like she said straight up, hey, if you don't love me, I'm gonna leave you and forget about you. She meant it.
Yeah, that's really sad because when I was watching it, it just kind of clicked. Like, oh wow, she really meant it, you know. And it kind of like, okay, I'm gonna admit something. I cried, especially when Ellie played the guitar and then looked out her window and then just left. He went, but she just left. So, Naughty Dog, please make a part 3 very soon.
So my conclusion for this is that throughout the first game, you see this father-daughter relationship build, and for me, I think the story is like, even though it's The Last of Us, it's the last hope for Joel. Like, it's a second chance, and he doesn't notice it, but it's there, and he is willing to go far and wide just for Ellie. And then in the second game, you kind of see, like, obviously he has some baggage, he has some stuff, and Ellie kind of acquires that. It kind of acquires Joel's skills and becomes this mercenary, this killer, just because of grief.
Yep.
And the big thing is that, like, violence isn't the key. It's never the key because it's just gonna keep going. And it can hurt your family, it can hurt your loved ones, it can hurt everybody around you. And I think for a lot of people who may be in this situation right now, or in a similar situation, and they're looking back on this, it's like, wow, like, this actually happens. Like, how far can you go until you know that you're crazy?
Yep.
And what's really, really stressful is that, like, okay, the farm scene, Happy, and then she goes out, you know, she tries to find Abby, and then she demands a fight, and that's really where it hits hard.
Especially when Ellie didn't fully kill Abby, like.
Right, because she saw the kid.
Yeah, she did, but she did come a long way to see Abby just to kill her, and she did all that fighting.
But Joel saves her once again in a flashback memory. It's Joel that saves her again, no matter what, and that love still does conquer. And when she does go back to the house, she leaves all the past behind. So when she finally plays that final song on the guitar, she's also leaving Joel behind, realizing that she has to stop grieving and, you know, gain back a little bit of what she lost and gain back a little bit of humanity.
Yeah, but like, would you say that she's kind of leaving Joel behind since she really...
But that guitar is a symbol of Joel.
Yeah, but she still has the gun though, so...
But the gun doesn't mean as much as, say, the guitar.
Well, it's still, like, okay, well, yeah.
Because in the first game, they say that if they make it out alive, that Joel is definitely going to sing for her. And what did they do in the second game? Yeah, the exact thing. So it's just really cool to see how music plays a big part, and that, you know, violence isn't the answer. And in any scenario, I think that's what it is. You know, like, you shouldn't, even though the amount of killing is in the game, really does show that there are people behind all of it. And that no one's supposed to die. No one should die or go out like that. Like, if you're the infected, you don't feel bad because it's like, okay, I'm finally taking you out of your misery. When it's killing actual people, then yeah, it does sting a lot.
doing, kiddo? You really gonna go through with this?
I'm gonna find, and I'm gonna kill every last one of them.